look at what it actually means to find a fraction of a quantity. Now, this is a whole, so the whole is 400. That's our quantity. We're then finding a quarter of that. So we're splitting that whole into 4, and then we're finding one segment, because it's 1/4 of that. So really what we're doing is we're taking our quantity, dividing it by 4, and then we're finding however many of the numerator. So we've done 400 divided by 4, which will give us 100, because each one of these segments will be worth 100. And then we're timesing it by 1, because we want one segment. So our answer would be 100. So here's another example. We've got 1/5 of 30. So our whole is our quantity, is our 30. We've split that 30 up into fifths. Now we want 1/5 of that. So we want that fifth. So we need to work out how much is 1/5 worth. So we do 30 divided by 5, which is 6. So we know that each segment, each fifth, is worth 6. So if we want 1/5, we do 30 divided by 5, which gives us 6, times by 1, because we only want one segment. So our answer would be 6. So these ones first. We're going to do 1/10 of 120, 1/5 of 500, and 1/3 of 120. So to work out 1/10 of 120, we do 120 divided by the denominator. So 120 divided by 10, which will give us 12, times by our numerator, which is 1. So our answer for the first one would be 12. For the next one, we've got 500 divided by our denominator, so 500 divided by 5, which will give us 100, times by our numerator, so your answer would be 100. And the last one, we've got 120 divided by 3, which will give us 40, times by 1, because that's our numerator. So your answers for those ones would be 12, 140. 2/4 of 400. So we work it out by doing 400 divided by 4. So 400 divided by the denominator, which is 4, which will give us 100. And then times by the numerator. So we then times it by 2, which will give us 200. Is this starting to make sense? So you've got our fraction of our quantity. We take our quantity, we divide it by the denominator, times it by the numerator. Okay, so now we've got 2/5 of 500 equals 3/4 of 12 equals, and 4/5 of 50 equals. See if you can work those out. Okay, so we do 500 divided by 5, which will give us 100, times by our numerator. So 100 times 2 is 200. For the next one, we've got 12 divided by 4, which will give us 3, times by our numerator, which is 3. So our answer would be 9. And this one, we've got 500 divided by 5, which will give us 10, times by our numerator, which is 4, which will leave us with 40 as our answer. So your answers are 200, 9, and 40.